Good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m. I'd call to order. Welcome everybody to the May the 20th, 2019 Commission meeting. Pam, do we have any public comment?
Mr. Wes Kelly.
Mr. Kelly, would you please step to the microphone, please?
Thank you, Commission. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you today. I'm Wes Kelly with Huntsville Utilities, 112 Spraggins in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm here to speak about item 3 on the agenda today, which, as we've discussed before, is a right-of-way agreement with Huntsville Utilities related to the acquisition of Limestone County Water's assets. I wanted to first thank the Commission very much. You've been very gracious to us. The County Attorney has been very good to work with, and we appreciate the productive dialogue that we have had. The agreement that we have, we would ask your consideration of one thing, and that is my board feels strongly that they would like a sense of permanence in the agreement. And our attorney and bond counsel and others think that an easement is a good way to do that because it's recorded in the courthouse and it is a good way to record matters of land and right-of-way. If the Commission is not favorable to an easement approach, because I know the county attorney has issue with that, then we would ask that the agreement that the county attorney has prepared be amended slightly. In paragraph 16, it states that the agreement can't be amended without mutual written consent of both parties. We would ask that to be amended or terminated without mutual written consent of both parties. And then the other thing that we would ask for is in your resolution, it says that we have permission to operate. We would ask that that be rephrased, a permanent right to operate. Understand the reasons why we're making those requests is we're going to spend $11 million to acquire these assets. We want to make sure that just if you're going to use your money to buy land or buy any property or buy a house, you want to make sure that that is a permanent transaction. And that permanence is important to my board, and it is important to our bond counsel as well, just as one of those important things, because we're going to have to borrow money to facilitate this acquisition. And that is an important dotting of I's and crossing of T's that we can do that we feel will help eliminate any potential questions. And again, as the appointed representative of Huntsville Utilities, I'm carrying out the wishes of my board by being here today and stressing the importance of a permanent agreement that we can record in the courthouse and we know it's done, and we look forward to operating under the terms of the agreement that provides the county engineer and I think the county attorney have done a good job preparing an agreement that we are happy with and willing to abide by for the duration. Matter of fact, we're so happy with it, we want to make it forever. So if y'all would consider that adjustment of either accepting that this get recorded in the form of an easement or those two modifications that we've asked for, that the agreement not be able to be terminated except by mutual agreement of both parties, and that the resolution recognize that it's a permanent right to operate within this space, subject to the terms of the agreement.
Mr. Kelly, that's item 16, and what's the other item?
It was paragraph 16 was the terminate, and then the other was a resolution that I believe the county attorney has prepared that would accompany the agreement. So,
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
thank you very much for your time.
Comment or anything on that?
I can comment now, or we can just, I can comment.
With the discussion part of it.
Item comes up on the agenda.
All righty. We'll just wait till. Pam, do we have any more public comment?
No, sir.
All right. Pam, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Samet.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
Commissioner Black.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Commissioner Black, would you lead us in our pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the May 6th and May 15th, 2019 meetings. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turner. Do I have any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Samet.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. On approval claims, I'll ask for a motion to approve claims in the amount of $730,608.11. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Samet.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this point, do we have any conflicts of interest, anything coming from the commission today?
Yes, I'll be abstaining from the vote on a personnel matter today.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Turner. All right, any more conflicts of interest? No more, we'll be moving on the resolutions and orders here. I'll ask for a motion to approve resolution as an appointing authority for the Department of Direction of District of North Central Alabama Mental Retardation Authority, Incorporated, to amend the certification of incorporation and to change the name of the corporation to the NCA 310. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have such a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Number 2 under here, I'll ask for motion approving a resolution consenting to the Limestone County Water and Sewer Authority sale of a portion of its system to the Huntsville Utilities. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Third on here, I'll ask for a motion to approve resolution for an agreement with Huntsville Utilities to operate in our county right-of-ways. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion?
Yes.
I'll address their comments about permanency. Well, first is to the easement. That's been addressed in a couple of work sessions now, and my opinion hasn't changed there as far as the county not being owner of the properties involved or there being any other provision for an easement to be granted. As far as the language regarding permanency, I likewise don't see the legal authority or precedent for that. The permission that they're seeking and the mechanism for them to have permission from the county is set out by the statutes. It's the same, and as far as investment in a utility system, it's the same permission that for years has been granted to Athens Utilities and Limestone County Water and Sewer Authority. Other things, as far as language regarding permanency, that would seem in conflict with other terms of the proposed agreement, or the county by law has control of its right-of-ways. So I would caution anything that might surrender any of that control that you might not otherwise be obligated to do. And so you maintain that control under the agreement to alter or remove alter or even vacate these right-of-ways, and any utilities in there are subject to that. As far as permanency, it's also been discussed on more than one occasion, and they're well aware of it, that once they get permission to have their lines in the ground, if the county vacates that right-of-way by statute as a utility, they have the right to keep their line there and even expand their system according to the language of the statute. So that is an issue of a permanent right that they would have. And so as far as the, again, I don't know what legal authority or precedent there is for there to be granted any permanent right in the right-of-way above any other utility that's currently there or that may be there at some point in the future. That's about all the comment I have for now. If any of you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them and answer them if I can.
All right, any more discussion with any other item on this? All right, with no more discussion, I'll call for the vote on this.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Under contracts of grants and agreements, we don't have any. We have no budget revisions, no merchant purchases, no board appointment, no award of bids. On the award of bids, I'll ask for a motion to approve the two items listed here in the award of bids with a bituminous adhesive machine and the printing for business cards. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Under personnel action here, we'll take the two corrections officers together and the two district part-time helpers together if y'all don't have any issues with that. Does anybody have any issues with that? All right. With no issues with that, I'll ask for a motion to hire Heath Cunningham as a corrections officer pending a drug screening, and also hire Chino Bowyer as a corrections officer pending a drug screening. Do I have such a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Sammet, second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next, here on item 3 and 4, I'll ask for a motion to hire Hunter Ezel as a part-time laborer in District 2 pending a drug screening, and to hire Hunter Gatlin as a part-time laborer in District 3 pending a drug screening. Do I have such a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Fifth on there, we'll ask for a motion to transfer Hunter Dawes to a position of engineering assistant engineer training in the engineering department. Do I have such a motion?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Sammet. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Sixth on the item here, I'll ask for a motion to hire Todd Lawson as engineering assistant, CAD/GIS in the engineering department pending a drug screen. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Abstain.
All right. Motion carries unanimously, 3 to abstain. All right. Under other business here, engineer. This morning I turned it over to our engineer, Mr. Massey.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have no action I have nothing for you to take action on today, but I did want to give you a report. We're on schedule still with our chip seal, so we're still working towards that. Still in District 1, prepping a couple more roads for chip seal, but we're on schedule at this point. So thank you for letting me take a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Massey. Under other business, I'll ask to remove the following items from inventory from the EMA. These 2 items listed here below. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Second by Commissioner Sammet. Do I have any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Sammet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this point, I'll open up our meeting for our scheduled public hearing regarding a public hearing in conjunction with a commission meeting today regarding a request to vacate a portion of Houston Ridge Road, which is located in District 1. Do we have any comments on that today? Anybody wanting to come up and make a comment, please step up to the mic.
I can do that.
Okay, come on up, sir.
I'm John Gamble. I requested the vacation of the right-of-way. I know y'all have had a work session and a standard procedure, so you are all aware of the facts. But if I could just take a second and restate the facts as I see them, as I know them, and that is, number one, Houston Ridge is a dead-end road. I'm at the very end of that dead-end road. It is a prescriptive right-of-way, and the deed that I have, the warranty deed that I have, puts me on both sides of that road that I've asked to be vacated. So those are the facts as I know them, as I see them. The reasons I've asked for it. has to do with, I guess, an overall plan that I would like to improve the property. I know the meeting I had with Mr. Massey and Mr. Samet on the road that day, my concern was in improving the roads that ditches would be pulled. Right now there are no ditches. And as you go down the road to my driveway, there's a slight rise, and then as you get into my driveway, the transition, there is a slight curve with an angle in the road that goes to the inside curve, not the outside. So in discussions with the engineer, I said, to do it correctly, a drop inlet and a culvert needs to put in right there to handle that drainage. The outfall would be on me, not a county ditch or anything. It'd be on me. Now, I have my own ideas about how I would like to do that in improving that part of the property. I will say this, that the son-in-law of the former owner of this property made me aware that there was a bad wash in this exact same area. And we all know what happens in that part of the county as far as washes go. I've been working over there to correct, to stop the existing wash by putting in some check dams, some riprap, some logs, whatever. But I have plans to improve that section of the property. That's the entrance onto my property. That's the reason. It's not to restrict or impede anybody. Certainly not my intent. Now, I've only been there 3.5 years. Everybody else has been there 25, 30, or 35 or more years. So that's really the reason for my asking, is I have a plan to improve the property. I've been working since I've been there, one project at a time. Again, just to underscore, it's not meant to impede or restrict access to anybody. And I'd ask for your consideration in that regard. I would emphasize that from the very beginning, as I made known to Mr. Salmon and to Mr. Massey, my concern was ditches that are going to be pulled and then causing a drainage problem at the end of the road and a turnaround. It doesn't need to be a turnaround. I don't want a turnaround there. So anyway, that's any question for me?
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gamble.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Mr. Douthit, you mind stepping up to the microphone, please? State your name. I've meant to state your name, please, when you come up.
I'm Joe Mark Douthit, and through my wife, as far as we have ownership, as far as on the property. And I wrote down a few comments this morning that I'd like to read. First, I want to thank the County Commission for having this meeting to settle any differences that there might be. I have a survey that I looked up, and on this survey, that it shows Houston Ridge Road coming along, which there's, we're talking about as far as that he's wanting to vacate it, that it shows that when this survey was done before Miss Clem's house was being built, as far as to where they would have access to the property. And it shows that the road right-of-way actually goes over on her property on this. It's showing like a 50-foot right-of-way. This survey is done by Ronnie Kaufman Land Surveying Company in 1998. And this references to a deed that I have as far as can I lay this right here?
Sure. Yes.
A deed that I have to the property where the J.W. Hodges bought this property in 1917, over 100 years ago. And that's when this road was going through, where he owned both the properties. And this is the only access to the road. The road is the only access. Well, let me just read this right here. It says, according to this survey, Houston Ridge Road exists along Mrs. Clem's property, just like it exists through the J.W. Hodges property that the Powers and Mr. Gamble uses to get to their property. Mr. J.W. Hodges, Ms. Clem's late husband, Bobby Clem's, that's Mr. J.W. Hodges, is Ms. Clem's late husband's grandfather. He bought it. He bought this farm in 1917. Ms. Clem needs this road to stay open. Houston Ridge Road is the only way that Ms. Clem and her son, Bert Clem, has to get to their home and access to the remaining part of the original J.W. farm. Because, see, we own like 20 acres that's on at the end of this, which there's a little triangle where it don't join. But needing access to that part of the property. Miss Clem and Bert needs to have access to their home and be able to mow all of their yard, including the small area on the county right-of-way. And Mr. Gamble wouldn't even let Bert mow his yard out to the road. That their stobs put up, and Mr. Gamble comes over and mows the grass and won't let Bert cut his front yard. And he's claiming part of the shrubbery as far as in the yard. You know, and I wish that the mail carrier and the school bus and others, like the propane gas truck, could turn around there at the end. You know, the mail carrier, the gas truck comes up, don't have any place to turn around as far as when filling the tank. And also a little thing that a mortgage company, there's a mortgage on the house, they've got to have access to a county road or they won't make a loan. As far as that would make their loan obsolete, or they may call the loan if this county road was vacated. So, does anybody have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Doughton. Do we have any more?
Could I make a
Short.
comment?
Well, just what have you got?
Well, as it pertains to access, and the deed that I have that was conveyed to me, outline or the boundary line that exists right now. Last year, when it was determined that from the very beginning, let me say from the very beginning, there was a question on the boundary line. And I've talked with Bert several times. I was even told that the county had a deeded right-of-way in there. Well, I have that title search and anything never showed up. But last year, in order to, since their driveway, according to the deed that I have, there's a small portion of their driveway that's on the property that fronts Houston Ridge Road. And I had an agreement prepared that said you can use that driveway from now on, even though it's on my property, according to the deed that I have that was conveyed to me. So that's not restricting anybody. It's not restricting the Clem's access. More to the point, on their east line, where they join Mr. Angus, that the east line fronts Houston Ridge Road for a distance of about 50 or 60 feet. That is the Clem's access to Houston, another access for the Clem's. So I'm not restricting anything. And again, I have to emphasize, it's the deed, a warranty deed that was given me when I purchased the property.
All righty. Do we have any more public comment on this?
I want to know what access we have.
Ma'am, we
Step up to the.
we need to step up to the mic, but we're just looking into vacating it today. we're not voting on this today, so we're not in here to have a court on this today. So, just willing to make a comment, please. ma'am.
Since we have to the property.
State your name,
State your
please.
name.
Sherry E. Clem.
Sure. All right, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, he said we had access to the property. I want to know where it's at. Other besides what we got. Just want to know where it's at. Because we're boxed in there, and I've lived there 21 years, so I just... If I wanted to sell my house, nobody would buy it, you know. But that's what I wanted to know, where else it was. That's all.
All right.
I'm very nervous, I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
no,
Thank
you're
you.
fine.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you. Do we have any more public? We're not in here debating on, I mean, we're just in here talking about the right-of-way situation. Do we have any more, anybody else wants to make a public comment on this situation? All right. No more public comment on this. We will look into this situation and thank all of y'all for your time, and we will look into it. All right, second on here, we'll open up public hearing on the conjunction with commission meeting today to discuss the county to be applying with a community development block grant, a CDBG program for the development of water line improvements in the Tanner community. Do we have anybody here want to make a public comment on that? Mr. Blankenship, you mind stepping up to the mic, please?
Good morning, gentlemen. Lucas Blankenship, Director of Economic Development and Regional Planning at TARCOG, Huntsville. This morning, via the Limestone County Water Sewer Authority, we wanted to open up a public comment period for a potential community development block grant project that will run through the Limestone County Commission. Should the Commission vote to move forward with this at the July meeting. It's a $2 million approximate water line improvements project. It will replace 35 to 40-year-old PVC line in the Tanner community with 6-inch and 8-inch ductile iron. We are looking at trying to obtain $350,000 from the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs via their HUD programs. And the Limestone County Water and Sewer Authority will offset that with the remainder of the project's cost. We're looking at approximately a $2 million total project at this time. Currently, Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, engineering firm out of Huntsville, they are reviewing the numbers for this project. In front of you, you have a preliminary cost estimate based off of some numbers from last year. That is what we're looking over currently, and we'll be potentially revising pending on cost updates at this time. So, gentlemen, do you have any questions at this point?
No, sir.
Okay, just a little information in regard to the HUD portion of this project. Community Development Block Grant funding, it must go towards benefiting what's considered 51% or greater low to moderate income. The Tanner project area, there's a map on the second to last page of that packet. It is currently 88.62% low to moderate income. The project will benefit 378 individuals. My office has went door to door already to perform the income surveying on this. The project will qualify for all HUD requirements for eligibility.
Good deal.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone from the crowd? Questions, comments? If not,
Thank you, Mr. Blankenship.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. No more with that. We'll move on to our report of officers. Commissioner Sammy.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank everybody for coming out and making the comments, and want you to know that all your comments will be taken into consideration. Also, on our secondary paving of our roads, everything's going real well. I'd like for us to get on the ball on our hold tank. I know we had to send back 1,700 gallon on the day it rained last week, and I wish we'd have had a place to go with it where we could have held it and gone back the next day. But the following day, though, I know that crew put out 14,000 gallon, wasn't it, Mark? 14,000 gallon and covered it in one day there. That's a heck of a day. Harvest Road project, they're working on the intersections now. They've got through the wear surface, I guess shoulder work, striping. That project will be done. And I guess last, I'd like to congratulate all the graduates of 2019 that have worked hard and done a good job, and I wish them well in life. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Samet. Commissioner Turner?
Yeah, we, the project on East Limestone Road, they made all the cuts through East Limestone Road last week to add the drainage structures. That caused some detours to have to go through McLemore Circle. Received a few comments from people that lived in there about the amount of traffic that they got during the detour time. It's inevitable that when we're doing road work that requires a detour, somebody else is going to be impacted by the traffic that they normally wouldn't. We'll look at ways of trying to handle that a little better, maybe with some speed limit signs or more detour signs, so that the drivers that don't know the area are a little better informed about what kind of area they're going into. With that said, last week I mentioned we'd be cutting some trees on Nick Davis. We've decided to schedule that for the 28th of this month. School will be out, so we won't have to worry about that excess traffic for school being on the road. When we do that, we will be detouring people off of Nick Davis Road at the intersection of Hall Road and also at the intersection of Mooresville. If you live in between those, we'll make accommodations for you to get in and out, but if you're traveling Nick Davis Road on the 28th and possibly the 29th, you will be asked to detour. Sorry for the inconvenience.
All right. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Black?
We're in the process of replacing cross drains on the roads that we plan on paving in June. We've got about 4 sections, I guess, that we need to replace. We got all the information from the $100 and Mark Massey the other day, so we've ordered those, and we'll start doing those this week. Also, we're just doing road preparations for the upcoming month where we got work we're going to be doing on the roads and just getting everything done. With that being said, I wanted to add that in Auburn, Alabama, we had a police officer and 2 other officers killed today, and just ask that you keep your law enforcement officers locally and nationwide in mind, because they put their lives on the line every day. So I just ask that you keep those families in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Black. Commissioner Harrison?
We're continuing to work on Cannon Road. As previously reported, we had two areas of soft spots that were pumping. We fixed one. We're working on the second, and we discovered a third one down at the intersection of Devine Drive, Raby Subdivision. We will have to close a portion of the road today. It's east of the Cannon Farms subdivision, so those residents will have to access their property from Tillman Mill. We hope to have it passable by the end of the day before the people return from work. But you will be inconvenienced. I've got a number of negative comments on Cannon Road on the length of the time and the type materials and that kind of thing. You can go in, and if all we were doing was just chip sealing, yeah, you can get it in and out in a couple of days. But when you're reclaiming a road, you're doing major revisions to that road. We've fixed cross drains, we're ditched, we've added base material, and you've ground up the road, and you can't do that in a week. I mean, it's going to take several weeks, and we hope to be able to chip seal that before the May 30th. So if we get it in shape, but people are going to be inconvenienced. It's going to be dusty. You're going to have to detour, and people are clamoring. I got 45 signatures saying, "Hey, we want you to fix Cannon Road." Well, if you want us to fix the road, you're going to be inconvenienced, and I hope people will be patient while we do that work and be considerate of one another. I want to thank Commissioners Samet and Turner for providing me a truck and driver to help supplement our crew during that time too. It helped out immensely. Easter Ferry Bridge, we've got, we're down to the final coat. We hope to have the final coat on those bearings on Wednesday. And so we anticipate only having that one-lane traffic on that bridge on Wednesday, and then hopefully we'll be through. I contacted, we've had some number of complaints on Union Hill Road, and there are, there are considerable potholes that we have gone in and fixed. And what happened on that road is that we've got we load limited Persimmon Road, and I got with Avagen, and they got with their safety director, and they were supplying all of northern Mississippi and western Tennessee with that cut-through road of Persimmon Road, and it was destroying the road. I got with them and showed them the route that they could take to maintain on a state route. That road was designed for those type of loads. They agreed. They diverted their traffic. Well, what happened is some of that traffic, not Avagen, but a heavy a grain farmer that lives up in Tennessee, he uses Union Hill now, and he hauls a lot of grain. And so I did the same thing with him this past week and showed him that it was actually the same amount of time to go to the state road than to go to using Union Hill, because it was absolutely destroying that road. So I just want to tell everybody that I have not weight limited Union Hill, but he's agreed to instruct his drivers to go on the state route. So hopefully that will prevent further accelerated deterioration of that road. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Harrison. I'd like to thank Mr. Gamble, Mr. Clem, Mr. Douthit for your comments. We'll look into all this situation and review it all, and thank y'all for coming up today and doing that. Lucas, thank you for coming up with a grant today. And I'll congratulate all the class of 2019 for their graduation. So everybody be safe out. Remember that, Auburn Police family there, and thank everybody for coming. And be sure to watch out for the construction zone. We've got a lot of construction going on out there. Thank Huntsville Utilities for being here today, and all of y'all. With all that being said, we'll recess until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, May the 29th, 2019 at the Washington Street Courthouse Annex, 310 West Washington Street. Thank everybody for coming today.
Just a clarification, if you could, please, before we leave, if you can.
Our meeting's
The
adjourned.
meeting's gone. Yep.